Hi, this is Mc Loone with Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment Magazine. I'm sitting down today with Paul Darley, the president and CEO of W.S. Darley, and we are in the Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin facility where Darley does all of its pump manufacturing. I want to just first take a moment to thank you for taking me around today, taking time out of your busy schedule. I know there's like a million other things you could be doing, so I really do appreciate you taking out some time for me here. This is my first visit to any of the Darley plants, and a very, very impressive facility here. But just, I guess, to jump right into our 5 questions, as you walk around the facility here and you see, just the number of pumps that are being sent out. We saw that one line of calf systems that was all ready for shipment. It kind of begs the question, how's the fire industry doing right now? Can we say that we finally turned a corner, or do we still have a little ways to go?
Yeah, Chris, I'll tell you, at least in the United States, and the best gauge that we have is the famous statistics. That's the Fire Apparatus Manufacturers Association statistics. And according to those, we actually saw a nice increase in new orders during the last quarter of 2012, and that continued on in the first quarter of 2013. That's all of the data that's currently available. And those orders in the first quarter of 2013 were up when compared to the first quarter of 2011 and 2012. However, there's a huge caveat and a huge asterisk on that, because the first quarter numbers of this year reflected some non-municipal orders, particularly from the Department of Defense, that came in those orders, and they really don't reflect the true nature of the market with respect to the USA municipal or USA domestic fire apparatus market, whether it be municipal or volunteer. So certainly good news to see an upward trend, but it's a big if on if this trend is going to continue or not. And the numbers, as I mentioned, are skewed because of these orders. I certainly can't say that the market has turned a corner. In 2012, the market remained down greater than 40% when compared to 2008, when it peaked at over 5,000 vehicles. And those are all vehicles, whether they're pumpers, rescues, tankers, aerials. And so we're still down to, historic low levels, at least the lowest that we've seen in the last 8 or 9 years. And there is maybe an argument that, there is some pent-up demand, particularly on the larger city departments who primarily, do run their trucks heavily, and they really, over the years, particularly in the early 2000s to the late 2000s, we saw a lot of those large cities, making large purchases, fleet purchases. Wouldn't be uncommon to see, orders of 10 to 40 apparatus being purchased by major metropolitan areas. We're really not seeing those major orders, certainly not at the same level that we saw 10 years ago. And there is maybe some pent-up demand where those cities hopefully are going to make a turn here very quickly, or in the near term, where they're just going to have to bite the bullet and buy new vehicles. At the same time, though, you've got major cities. I live in Chicago, even though I'm here at our plant in Wisconsin, 5 hours north. The city of Chicago, the front page of every newspaper is the budget woes that we're facing. You just had city of Detroit on July 19th filing Chapter 9 bankruptcy. The state, and no longer are fire departments, the sacred cow when it comes to budgets that they once were. I'll also say that at the same time, too, we're also seeing a reduction in both AFG funding, both in terms of dollars, and this year in particular, the 2012 grants that have been awarded. And if you look at the percentage that, actually they're capped. Only 25% of all grants under the AFG program can be allocated toward fire apparatus. This year, it's significantly lower than 25%. So while 65% of all of those applications coming in are for fire apparatus, they're probably, I don't have the exact number, but I think the award level is closer to 15% than 25%. And I'll tell you, nobody, wants to see a rebound in this market more than the apparatus and equipment manufacturers. But it's clearly too early to tell from a statistical standpoint if the market's back. And just from a anecdotal standpoint, there is some positive news in addition to these recent FEMA numbers. I'm in constant contact with sales managers and presidents at all of the major fire apparatus builders. And while I never disclosed to any of them what the other is saying, they all pretty much feel quite a bit more positive right now than they do, at least compared to a year ago or 2 years ago. And no, look, I'm a sales guy. All of us sales guys are probably naturally optimistic. But from an anecdotal standpoint, there is some that supports some of the good news that's coming out of these reports. But I would tell you that I think the new normal, once all the dust settles, and if you look at the League of Cities report, the most recent one that's published right now is 2011, and the 2012 data will be published just within the next 30 days here. Really show that the fire service or municipal budgets trail the economy by they lag by at least 5 years. So while we are seeing good news on the stock market, while tax revenues are up for the feds in most states right now, it's going to be a while before these cities are out of it. So if we turn the corner, I don't think so, but and that's coming from an optimist. But there are some good indicators out there.
For the fire service, what do you think is the biggest issue right now, and how is Darley helping to address it?
Yeah, I don't know a person, we just talked about it, and candidly, I don't know a person who wouldn't really quickly point to the budget crisis as the biggest issue for fire departments. And, if you're on the volunteer end, a lot of those folks are, to them, who maybe aren't so reliant upon, tax revenue for their base, but they're maybe on donations and different areas that they do to raise funds for their departments, which are also obviously depressed because people just have less spending money to donate to their local fire services. But to the larger, I would say the career departments, certainly the budget crisis is the number one. And maybe for smaller departments, I still see recruiting and training issues as major long-term issues. With respect to the volunteers, we're really have an eye on designing our products that are easy to operate while still being high-tech, high-touch, which appeals to a lot of today's volunteer recruits who are generally going to be younger. They grew up on iPads and, with their different electronic devices that they're very comfortable with, and as they make that migration into the fire service, hopefully they'll make that migration. Those type of things appeal to them. On the municipal or the career side, I'll tell you, we've always been very focused in on industry needs. Really, what is the true need out there? And our core at our company is really being a pump manufacturer. And on that end, we're really working closely with different manufacturers to help them design and come up with a unique pump solution in their fire apparatus that will be competitively priced and allow them to come out with a multi-purpose vehicle that we call them pump system solutions that really address their true needs. And they can therefore take up less space on the truck and allow for a multi-purpose vehicle so that departments, whether they're career or volunteer, can have one vehicle that serves multiple purposes. So they no longer need a vehicle for just a pumper. They no longer need just a vehicle for rescue. They no longer need a vehicle for hazmat. They can one multi-purpose vehicle that reduces their overall costs and allows them to and allows them to cover multiple tasks. At the same time, all of these departments, whether they're career or volunteer, are being called to do more with less. They're getting hazmat thrown at them. They're getting just about every type of situation. Their 911 calls are being referred to the fire department at a higher rate now than ever, at the same time when their budgets are being depressed more than ever. So on the equipment end of our business, we're really focusing in on we've introduced a very low cost line of firefighting gear that addresses that need. Low cost line of private labeled adapters and nozzles. We're offering a variety of financing options available for our different customers. So so we're very attuned to what those needs are and are trying to come up with products that specifically address those needs, and also keeping in mind the Wayne Gretzky philosophy, and that is when asked, the greatest hockey player of all time, how did you score so many goals? in such a short period of time compared to all the other, broke all these records. And he said, I never went to where the puck was. I always went to where the puck was going to be. So we as a company are constantly thinking, where's this market going to be next? What can we do to help satisfy that need?
During the tour today, I got a chance to see a lot of, obviously the pump products that you have. There's also the apparatus manufacturing end of your business. At one point before the interview started, we were talking about the transition that Darley made from trucks to pumps. But most of us also know Darley as that thick catalog that we all have on the engineer's desk at the fire station, because you're also an equipment distributor. With and you have the defense contracts and the drones and the water purification. You have all these products. If you had to pick one, what is the most important product Darley produces?
Well, I'll tell you, so as you pointed out, under our part of our strategy is diversification. We've cast a really wide net out there. We've launched a lot of innovative new products over the last few years. I mean, everything from pumps to calves to poly bodies to water purification and drones. But really at our core, we're still a pump manufacturer. That's where most of our employees are, and it's where most of our engineering is done and most of our marketing efforts are concentrated. So they're all important, but maybe I'm a bit biased because I grew up on the pump side of our business, and that's the area where I continue to personally migrate because I know the industry players, I understand the market needs, and it all comes very naturally to me. In that end, we just recently introduced a new 3,500 GPM pump that's been highly successful. It's our highest flow. It's the highest flow fire pump available on the market. Our calves line, as you pointed out, is always evolving. We just recently set a record for high-rise pumping of calves, where we pumped over 330 meters in a high-rise situation. Our water purification products, they're addressing humanitarian needs. Our Stinger drone is cutting edge. But I guess at the end of the day, if I had to pick one that's most important, I would say our pump technologies and our advances there. I also do have to say, though, we've launched a new division several years ago that's just a defense division, and we've hired, I think roughly 20 of our last 25 hires in that division have all been veterans, and they're such admirable people. I really enjoy working not only with our employees, but with the customers. We just had the U.S. Marine Corps place an $80 million order with us for fuel transfer pumps. Again, a pump that we, not a firefighting pump, but leveraging our core of being a pump manufacturer, and we bought a company called Oler in 2007, so leveraging on some of their technology, but taking it a step further. And it's just a real. I've loved all my life working with the fire service. And now having an opportunity to even be more engaged with the Department of Defense is very satisfying. And at some point, hopefully I'll understand the lingo that they're using. They talk in all acronyms all the time. And hopefully at some point it'll come as naturally to me as the fire service. I mean, I literally began walking around trade shows with my father when I was 3 and 4 years old, so I really, it's in my blood, literally, or not, well, I guess literally in some respects, and hopefully that the defense end will come as naturally to me as the fire end, as I continue to learn day by day and address people's needs and understand, and right now, yeah, certainly supporting our firefighters, generally speaking, is as important as it gets, in fact, but also supporting our war fighters is incredibly important. And I don't think there's a company, I give a quarterly address to our company every 90 days. I'm doing one this afternoon. I don't think there's a quarterly address that goes by where I don't say to our employees, you know what, we're all so blessed to be in a industry where we're giving back to society, we're helping people, and you can really see, people stay at companies for a variety of reasons, or jobs for a variety of reasons. We're really blessed in the fire service to have a higher purpose, to be supporting our firefighters and supporting our war fighters. So all of our employees get that, and we're not sitting here making widgets or something. We're really contributing to society, and it's so all of the products are important. But I guess coming back, if I have to pick one, it's some of our pump innovations are probably where my heart's the most.
Having said all that, what's next for Darley? What's in the pipeline? Where is that next putt going to be?
All right, well, I'll tell you, the next puck, you're talking about the Wayne Gretzky puck and not the Pierce puck?
Yes,
okay.
correct.
All right, no, look, let's pretend like we're Willy Wonka when we were kids, all right? I just took you through the factory, and it got to be, so I can't tell you everything that there's a few places I didn't take you today in R&D, but I can tell you we are investing heavily in research and development of new products, particularly in the area of CAFs, ultra-high pressure, electronics. But we're also continuing to grow in lateral markets, both geographically and in new industries, where we can leverage our strengths in engineering and marketing and really go and take what we're good at and leverage those strengths in new markets, whether it's refueling pumps for the military, whether it's water purification for third world countries, those type of efforts. And in the last several years, we've had a number of acquisitions, and we're going to continue to look closely at those acquisitions. In fact, we've personally, as president and CEO, it's been one of my main areas where I do focus, and we've put in offers on companies, several offers on different companies since the first of the year, since the first of the year in 2013 here. So, but we're not in any rush to do deals. We're going to do deals where they're very synergistic targets, where 1 + 1 = 3. So if us coming together with that company is going to be an accretive deal that is good for that company that we're acquiring or those owners, and hopefully we'll have them stay on, but also good for us. Acquisitions are certainly in our pipeline. And part of the reason for that is really to grow this business for the next generation, which is, I'm a third generation family owner. One of 16 owners in the third generation. 10 of us work in the business here at Darley. And so in the fourth generation coming up, there's a total of 32 in that generation already. So we need to really make sure that we're growing this pie to be able to support the next generation. They have to work outside the family business in meaningful employment for 2 to 5 years before they can come on board. We have very strict rules on coming on board. They have to have what's called a family participation plan. So there's no obligation for them to come and join the company. No obligation for us to hire them. They've got to work hopefully for a non-family manager. They're paid market rate. They're held to a higher expectation. Those type of things that are kind of family business best practice. So we're going to continue to look at acquisitions as well as organic growth.
With all that said, now that's quite a plate that you have created for yourself, and there's got to be some things that as you end your day, you drive home. I don't know how much traffic you have to drive through to get home from your office in Chicago, but between that drive and just falling asleep at night, amidst all this, what keeps you up at night?
Okay, first off, I got a very short commute. Okay, that's by design because I'm so passionate about what I do, and I also got to tell you, I sleep pretty well at night. You can just ask my wife Heidi, who just about had it with my snoring, okay? But seriously, like most of our employees, I'm incredibly passionate about what I do. I pop up like a piece of toast in the morning. I can't wait to get to work. It's what it's our passion. It's our love of this business and this industry that was instilled in all of us. But speaking for myself, by my father personally at a very young age, tracking me along to the office and trade shows, as I mentioned, and all of our family members and so many of our other employees. I think you can see the passion in their eyes as you walk through the office and the shop here today. But I'm hell-bent on growing this business, so that we can pass a strong, if I had to come up with something that keeps me awake at night, I guess, I'm hell-bent on growing this business, so we pass along a strong and diverse business. It's really onto this next generation that I talked about of family members, and I guess I'm getting to the point where I'm only 50. I guess I say only 50. It's the new 40, right? That succession planning is on my mind a lot, and in our generation, we had a very unique succession plan. My father said, look, I can't select a president out of this next generation. You guys go and select a president. So at that time, my cousin Jeff and my brother Peter and I sat down and, probably hundreds of hours of meetings. And ultimately, my dad said, look, you can have co-presidents, rotating presidents, hire somebody in from the outside. I don't care what you guys want to do, but I'll support whatever you want to do, and I'm not going to rule this company from the grave. And ultimately, they selected me to we said, look, we need one person who's accountable to our employees, our stockholders, the industry, but we're really running what's called a cousin consortium, which is it's a family business term with respect to multi-generational family businesses, sometimes second, in our case it's third, and it'll certainly carry on in the fourth generation, where there's really no one single leader anymore. We've now added James Long, who heads up our equipment division. He's a great addition to our executive team, and we all have these unique strengths that complement one another. And while we certainly have disagreements among each other, they're always respectful. It's relationships based on respect is our number 2 core value as a business, followed closely by integrity as our number 1. But most major decisions are, reached together as a team, then presented to our board. And then on the board, we support ourselves with the most incredible outside board of directors that you can imagine. We have General Peter Shoemaker, who is a 4-star general. He was chief of staff under Bush 41 and led the Iraqi invasion. We have a former chief of staff for the President of the United States, for his father, George Herbert Walker Bush. His name is Sam Skinner. He serves on our board. We have Gary Breeze on our board, who was executive director for the IAFC for, in excess of 20 years. He was a FEMA director under, I think, FEMA Region 8. We even have a Harvard business professor on our board. So we go to this board in a very professional, organized manner, and we vet things with this board, that major decisions, whether it's an acquisition, whether it's whatever the major decisions are, we're blessed with the brightest people in the world we can bounce these things off of, and they come back and they give us a lot of confidence in those decisions and actually help us sleep at night. So, but while I plan to stay active in this business, I don't know, another 25 years at least. I mean, God willing, we plan, to work closely with the next generation to make sure that they're all working closely together as we did, and that they get the mutual respect, and there's no reason to think they're not. They're all intelligent, hardworking, 4th generation family members. But ultimately, I know our generation, that's myself and Peter and Jeff and James and all the other family members in the 3rd generation, are ultimately going to be judged on how well this next generation takes the reins, works together with our customers, our stakeholders, and our employees' best interests at heart. So if I had to pick one thing, that would be it. But I'm sleeping pretty well at night because we've got some good stallions in the barn, and some good whatever a female horse is. I happen to have 3 daughters who I think will all add value to the business as well. So.
Perfect, and I got a chance to meet a lot of those stallions today.
Yeah,
walking through. So
you did.
Well, thank you very much for taking a few minutes to sit down with me. Again, this has been Mc Loone with Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment, and I've had the pleasure of sitting down with Paul Darley, President and CEO of WS Darley. Thanks again,
Chris.
Paul.
Thanks for coming up. Appreciate it.